Welcome to episode 11. In this programme we hear from Tony Maguire about the Forge in Maru. Ray Laffin provides music from the Teach in Cloverfield. We have sports reports from Camogie and Maru AFC. Maria Neville talks about the stained glass windows in the Church of the Holy Rosary. And Father Ryan gives us a thought for the week. So now, the Forge.
The Forge was built roughly about 200 years ago, and is built with red sandstone from a local area. The slates we re-roofed there about 15 years ago using an old slate and an old ridge tile again. The size of the forge, I suppose, is about 30 feet by 20 feet, where there used to be two fires once upon a time, which ye people may know better than I. The forge was closed in 1964, shortly after my father died, and the work was tidied up and was closed down and was never reopened again, bar for a live crib around Christmas, which we do every year or every couple of years for the special needs children in Enniscorthy. There was a lot of horses shot there in that time and a lot of history attached to it, which is nice. We probably should do something with the forge again, something like that or something around that area, and keep the whole thing alive for history's sake. I'm the recent generation here now, Tony Maguire, myself, and my sons, and my daughter. So we'll stay another little while in this parish, to your misfortune. There is roughly about 9 generations, I believe, gone before me, including my father, Jimmy Maguire, his father, Anthony Maguire, and other generations of the names of the Maguires back along. There were 7 boys in my father's family, and Mikey and Davy, Huey, Anthony, Dan, and my father Jimmy. Most of them went to America to seek their fortune at better things than being a blacksmith at that time. My father stayed at home and ran the forge. It is great to see it opened on the day that Eric O'Neill and his men came, and they didn't show any horses. That was the sad part of it. But they made different things, and they done a bit of forge welding. I do remember that, which was nice to see. If we could bend wheels and show a few horses again, it would be nice. It would be very appropriate for the building. Maybe we'll have to go back to horses with the price of this oil and things, the way things are gone. Who knows? But maybe we won't go back that far. But it's nice to go back and reflect on the older days and a simpler life for everyone. I do appreciate and take pride in what we have. And it's nice to reflect on the past once in a while. But we can't stay there. We have to move on for today and tomorrow, which is the future. I'm sorry if I seem a little sad, but it's just that time of year. So I wish you all well, and thank you very much.
Denny Carr worked here, of course.
Joe Boyle.
And Joe Boyle.
Joe Murray.
Joe Murray, and there was another chap. He went later to looking after the Queen's horses.
Hogan.
Yes.
Was the man, yeah.
Yeah.
And do you remember the banding of the wheels there?
I do remember it well. And there was a square concrete box filled with water, and then there was a timber box, and they'd lean on that then with a long arm.
That's right.
And to bring the water up around the wheels when they wanted to cool them.
And when we'd be passing here every Tuesday, there'd be such a fire there where they'd be bending the wheels. You'd be afraid.
To bend the wheels, you would.
To bend the wheels, you were afraid you would to pass.
They would. And you had to be an expert to do it properly, because the water had to be passed in on the wheels at the correct time, so as it wouldn't get burnt. Jimmy Maguire was one of the 7th generation of the Maguires, and their headstone is below in Abington. It's the headstone is 1775, and it is Anthony Maguire's on the headstone, and there was an Anthony in every generation of the Maguires. Now, if you look up the history of Griffith Report, 1851, it was done here in Maru, of the valuation of lands. Anthony Maguire is particularly mentioned as a man in the forge at that particular time. He would have been Jimmy's great-grandfather. Great-grandfather. And the man in Abington would be his great-great-great-grandfather.
There were 2 reasons given why it was called the horse chestnut. It was in the olden times, the chestnuts were fed to horses. They tell you that in warmer climate that they'd be more palatable to horses than they would here in this climate. When you take the leaf here and look at the stem here inside, and after a day or 2, you'll see 7 little black dots here depicting 7 nails of a horse.
Music now from Cloverfield's Chock and Ceol with Ray Laffan and friends.
Great signs on the way up. Our posters were everywhere. It was a great welcome. So we're going to start off with probably a few jigs or something, whatever will come into the head now in a minute.
He takes requests for €2.
Caroline Hickey has the up-to-date news from the Camogie Club, and Noel Regan covers Maru AFC's activities.
This is a brief update on the happenings in the Camogie field in the last 2 weeks. The under-12s have played 2 matches where they won both. On the 26th of April, they played in a Piershik where they won 3 goals to no score. On the 2nd of May, they played a Han and won on a scoreline of 4 goals to 1-2. There's 15 girls on the panel. It's great to see so many players interested. The Blitz they were meant to play in a Han on the 28th of April was cancelled until June. The under-14s have played 2 games and have won both. On the 24th of April, they played Galway and won 7-7 to 2-3. Aoife Barry did most of the scoring on the night. On the 1st of May, they played Treaty Gales and won 4-4 to 1-1. It was a tough game with the girls having to fight for all their scores. Their next game is the 8th of May at 7 o'clock in Boher against Mungret. The under-16s played their league semi-final on the 26th of April against Monaleen and unfortunately lost out in extra time by 2 points on a scoreline of Caparua 3-13 and Monaleen 6-6. The girls played brilliantly and were very unlucky to lose. They fought until the end and were unlucky to concede a goal in the last minute. The intermediates played their last game of the league on the 2nd of May against Tournafulla and won 8 points to 4 points. It was a great game with the girls playing with great fight and never giving up, and the backs were under severe pressure at the start of the second half, but thankfully with the help of Amy left nothing in. This means they're in a league final for the first time since 2009 on Sunday the 13th of May against Adair at 12 o'clock in Ballybricken.
The Maru AFC notes. The main news I suppose this week was an excellent performance by our B team in their final match of the season. They won promotion from Division 4 following a 2-0 victory over Lisnagry. The team needed a win to secure promotion, and they scored the first goal through Dara Ryan, and they were leading 1-0 up until about 10 minutes to go when Lisnagry got a penalty. Declan O'Connor, the keeper for Maru, made a fantastic save, and within 2 or 3 minutes Maru went up the other end and Dan O'Toole secured all 3 points and promotion with an excellent goal. So an absolutely brilliant season for the B team, who have now won the League Cup and secured promotion. So well done to the lads. Our A team also finished their season in the last week, playing their final 2 matches of the year, and they had excellent results as well, drawing 2-2 with Janesborough and beating Dromore 1-0. The mighty Quinn brothers, Liam and Bryans, got all the goals in those matches. Our senior ladies team began their season in fine style last week with a 4-1 victory over Bruff at Tubber. Claire Keating scored all 4 goals, but it was an excellent team performance, and well done to all the girls and to their new management team, Tony Breen, this year. The club has decided to purchase a defibrillator. Now, there's been a lot of stuff in the news lately about players having injuries and collapsing on the pitches, and the club has decided that we'd like to have a defibrillator on site in Tubber in the event it's ever needed. Please God, it won't be, but we'd like to have it on site just in case. So we're going to be running a Euro forecast competition to raise funds for it. Basically, people will be asked to guess the scoreline in the 24 matches in the European Championships. The entry fee will be €10 per person, and entry forms will be available from any committee member or team manager. There are some excellent prizes for whoever manages to forecast all the results correctly. €250 first prize, €100 second prize, and €50 third prize. Just like a reminder again that our annual FAI summer soccer camp is open for bookings. The soccer schools will be open to boys and girls from ages 6 to 14 and of all abilities. It runs for 5 days, which is Monday to Friday, from July the 16th to July the 20th. That's Monday to Friday inclusive, from 10:30 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. It's an excellent fun-filled camp. The kids usually have a great time at it. It's open to 100 vacancies are available at the Maru camp, and it usually fills up very quickly. So for any parents out there trying to figure out what to do with their kids for the summer, there's a week's there if they wish to avail of it. You can book online at www.summersoccerschools.ie, or you can phone 1890 653 653. Also, just a couple of small notices here at the end. We'd like to wish Saoirse Barry and Grania Regan the very best of luck. They've been selected to play on the under-14 Limerick Gaynor team, which will be playing in the Gaynor Cup in UL on the bank holiday weekend. and this is a competition for league centre teams where the best players in the county are selected to play on the team, and they play against the best teams from all over the country on it. And so we're very fortunate in Maru to have 2 girls selected for that, so the best of luck to the girls in that. Also, we'd like to congratulate Aisling Regan on her selection for the under-16 gainer team. That's an excellent result for the club to have a girl in that team. It's a very competitive age group to get involved in, and Aisling has also earlier this year she played with the Munster Schools under-15 team, so she shows great promise as a player, and we're delighted that she's been selected to represent Limerick in that competition. And that's basically the news for this week. All the men's teams now have finished their league campaigns, so for the rest of the year until September again it'll probably be the senior ladies team and the soccer camps and any other bits and pieces we can come up with. So thanks very much.
More music now from Cloverfields, Chock and Ceol with Ray Laffin and friends.
Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah. He keeps pushing up the keys on me all the time. You know, he thinks I'm Joe Dolan. Oh, slans kier und Elschuhen Kashmaner Ngren Groach Nastas Nasher Naser Nasua Nanan Recht Najen Gan Huen is groten Mische Gan Chet Gan Chor Gan Chor Gan Chishte Gan Salt Gan Short Gan Sport Gan Spinda Sholch me Chanu Egnish Is van Fembe Is frech war Fuar Is Tauar Tre Is Temach Troar Im Arne Gan Chet Gan Chor Gan Chor Gan Chishte Gan Salt Gan Short Gan Sport Gan Spenda O Sholch me Chanu Egnish Osman Hek Da Ser Suerk Da Dauda Kler Da Hengst Da Swan Dam Char Dich Lev Gan Chlen Gan Chloen Gan Chan Gan Chen Gan Chres Gan Chwas Is Brotem Bische Gan Chet Gan Chor Gan Chor Gan Chishte gan salt, gan short, gan sport, gan spin. O shoch me, gan hoigendish. Would you like to take it a minute, have a new small video?
Marion Neville now describes the stained glass windows in the Church of the Holy Rosary, Maru.
The Church of the Holy Rosary, Maru, was opened in October 1905, and by 1909 a big campaign had started to fill the church with stained glass windows. This was under the direction of Canon Doane. 1909 he placed an order with James Watson in Yard, County Cork, for the designing and making of a window to represent the resurrection. Watson had come from England in 1880 to join a stained glass company in Cork, and later he took over the company. And from 1909 he was associated with the church in Maru and made all the windows representing the 15 decades of the Rosary, plus a window to St. Joseph, one to St. Patrick, one to the Good Shepherd, St. James, St. John and St. Ailbe. These are very special windows in that they don't use Gothic design, which had been the tradition in stained glass windows up to that point. But Ireland at the time, in 1909, was looking for its own identity, its own cultural identity. And because of that, Watson decided to use Celtic design to border the stories in the windows in Maru. These are very special Celtic designs, they're very intricate. They would have come from the Book of Kells, and he uses zoomorphic design, which has animals and birds, and the swirling spirals and knotting designs that would have been seen in the Book of Kells. Stained glass windows have been used in churches in Europe and all over the world since the 11th century. They were used at the time to educate an illiterate Christian population about the beliefs of the faith. And the windows here in Maru show the stories of the 15 decades of the Rosary very, very clearly, all encompassed in this beautiful Celtic design. Involved in Maru was the first glorious mystery, the resurrection, and it came complete with all the beautiful knotwork and spirals of the Celtic designs of the Book of Kells. It also shows 4 stylized fish at the bottom of the window. In stained glass windows, the window is generally divided into 3. You have the story in the middle, you have a border on top, a decorative border on top, a decorative border on the bottom, and an outline right around the window. On the bottom of this window, the resurrection window, there are 4 stylized fish. And the fish was one of the very first symbols of Christians. In the aftermath of the crucifixion, when the Romans were persecuting the Christians in the Holy Land, the Christians used the symbol of the fish to identify themselves to each other. So these symbols of the fish in Maru connect us back to the very earliest stages of the Christian church. And these fish are represented in every second window through the church. Now, on the next windows in the church, at the bottom you have stylized St. Bridget's crosses. And that, of course, is a big symbol of the faith in Ireland, the cross of St. Bridget. So each of every alternative window has these stylized St. Bridget's crosses at the bottom. Now, between 1910 and 1921, all the remaining windows were put in place to represent the Rosary. Besides that, there's a window representing the baptism of King Aengus at Cashel by St. Patrick. And in the background in this picture, you can see the Rock of Cashel and a round tower. And this would have been used at the time as a theme for a window because, again, of the great urge in Ireland to find its own identity. So churches were putting in windows and paintings that represented events that had occurred within the Irish church over the centuries. And in Maru, it's the baptism of Angus that represents this. Beside the baptism of Angus is a window to St. Joseph. St. Joseph looking after the child Jesus in his role as the caring parent. And this is a beautiful window and shows St. Joseph as this very caring father, making sure that nothing happens to the child Jesus as he's crossing a stream. In the sanctuary of the church, these represent in the centre Jesus as the Good Shepherd, and he's holding his staff, the staff of the Good Shepherd, and cradling a lamb. On his right, as you look at the windows, you have St. James, the Apostle, and St. James is carrying the staff and lamp of the pilgrim, and also the Bible in his left hand. And on his left shoulder he's wearing a scallop shell, and this is the international sign of St. James. Pilgrims who go to Santiago de Compostela in northern Spain generally carry a scallop shell to show that they are on the pilgrim to St. James. On the left of the Good Shepherd is the evangelist St. John. And St. John is holding a chalice in his right hand and the Bible in his left hand. Now these came as a suite of windows, and James Watson contained them as a suite through the use of colour and repeated design. He uses the same red in all three, the purple carries through all three, and the background sky, the design of the background sky carries through all three of the windows to show they came as a suite. And in these windows we see the most beautiful animal designs that would have been taken from the Book of Kells on the top and bottom of the windows to St. James and St. John. Now, hiding behind the pillar in the sanctuary is St. Ailbe, patron saint of the Diocese of Cashel and Emily. And unfortunately, it can't be seen unless you go onto the altar and look behind the pillar. But this too is a beautiful window. There are 4 other windows in the church that may not have been made by James Watson. There are 2 on the right-hand aisle as you face up the church. The colouring in these windows is quite different to the Watson windows. It's a much lighter colouring, but they're very beautiful windows. But at the moment we don't know who made them. But they seem to have gone in the late part of the second decade of the 20th century, or maybe in the early 1920s. And we have 2 rose windows over the 2 side aisles. And rose windows became very popular in stained glass, again in the 11th century. And many of the great cathedrals around Europe still have the rose windows of that time. You'll see them in France and in England. But here in Ireland, we didn't have a great part in the stained glass movement of that time. Our time didn't arrive until the early 20th century. But here in Maru, we have the 2 rose windows up over the 2 aisles. And in the centre of those rose windows are depicted the implements that were used at the crucifixion. You have the nails, the crown of thorns, there's a chalice there from the Last Supper, the cock that we hear of in the Bible, and the instruments of the scourging. And they're surrounded by 8 petals of glass, coloured glass. And the petals, the amount of petals during the Middle Ages all had a symbolic value. And here we have 8 petals around our windows. And the 8 petals in the Middle Ages represented baptism and renewal.
And to conclude, Father Ryan's Thought for the Week completes this programme.
So we're here this week in our second church in Boher. It's a beautiful church. It's a very old church. and it was built way back in 1839. It's a long time ago. It will be 200 years old in 2039. So if I live that long, I will be 101 years old. Unlikely that I live that long. But it's a beautiful church with stout walls, and it'll certainly see me out and a few more after me. 3 weeks from tomorrow, we'll be having our confirmation ceremony. We have 68 young people for confirmation this year, and we're looking forward to Confirmation Day. It's a very, very important day in the lives of our young people. And we've been preparing a lot for this day. As a matter of fact, tonight we'll be having our service of commitment and light, and that's a very, very important ceremony, when we'll be reminding the young people of the fact that they're going to be moving on shortly to a different school, and that is a difficult time for young people growing up today. There'll be lots of distractions for them. I often think that going to school in my time and growing up in my time, it wasn't indeed as difficult as it is for young people today, because there were so many avenues today for young people to go astray. And so we want to remind these young people, and indeed the parents, that it's a time in their lives when they've got to make decisions, they've got to be able to stand up for what they believe in, and it would be criminal if we didn't have preparation like this for the confirmation. We're going to try to, every year we try to get people away from this idea of style and money. They're important, but the most important thing is to focus on the sacrament that these young people are going to be receiving. Talking about young people, I always go back to the wonderful John Paul II, when he came to Ireland way back in 1979, and he spoke to young people in Galway, and he had very powerful and prophetic things to say. And the relevant bit I'm going to quote now reads, "Yes, dear young people, do not close your eyes to the mortal sickness that stalks your society today, and from which your youth alone will not protect you." Then he goes on to say, "How many young people have already warped their consciences and have substituted the true joy of life with drugs and sex and alcohol, vandalism, and the empty pursuit of mere material possessions." Then these famous words, "Something else is needed, something you will find only in Jesus Christ." And talking about confirmation and reflecting upon it, I always think about my own day, our big day, when I was confirmed way back in 1950. The one thing I remember about my confirmation was the tension that there was there. We were examined in the school in Rare Cross the day before confirmation, and the place was full with parents, and to fail or not to answer the bishop's question, you could be done in for life, regarded as a failure. So we worked fierce hard at the catechism, and there was a fellow in our class, a good, decent, honest young guy, who really, really worked hard, swatting off the answers, and I could see that he had made up his mind, whatever happened, whatever kind of a question the bishop threw at him, he was going to handle it all right. So when his time came, right there before the bishop, and the bishop looked at him, and I think he said, "My boy, on what day was the Lord born?" And Jack was stunned, gobsmacked. He couldn't believe that he was being asked such an easy question. And after a few seconds, he looked at the bishop straight in the eye, and he said, "'Twasn't in the day he was born at all, 'twas in the night." The bishop smiled, the teachers in the semicircle around, the bishop sitting on his throne in the gateway at the altar rails. The others smiled, teachers and the priests, and it lifted the tension of the whole thing. And indeed, next morning then we were confirmed in the parish church in Kilcommon. Again, it was tense. and the teachers were trying to pin on these little cards on our lapels with our confirmation name. And they were so keyed up, we were getting prodded with the needles, pins and everything. And it's a pity really, because it's a day when there shouldn't be tension. It's a day to celebrate our faith. And our faith is all about love. Jesus summed it up in one sentence: love one another as I have loved you. We have these beautiful 3 words: God is love. So love casts out fear. So we look forward to our confirmation day. I hope and pray it'll be a day to remember, a day when we will be celebrating our faith and helping our lovely young people on their faith journey. And I'd be proud of these people. I'd want them to get on well, to live happy and fulfilled lives. Just to finish with another little bit from John Paul's talk to the young people in Galway way back in 1979. He spoke, I should say, in Christ you will discover the true greatness of your own humanity. He will make you understand your own dignity as human beings created in the image and the likeness of God. Thank you for listening.